Welcome back to Tony and Tina's Wedding, Creating a Theater Tribe. I'm Larry.
I'm Gret.
And I'm Contetta.
In today's episode, we're speaking with two original production team members who brought an extra layer of realism to the show.
What would a wedding be without dancing? Luckily, we didn't have to find out because Hal Simons choreographed everything to look so real that audiences fell right in line.
And that choreography worked brilliantly along with those famous red bridesmaid dresses and every other costume piece designed by the amazing Juan, TNT's original costume designer.
And my original husband. Enjoy episode 13.
Hi, and welcome, Hal Simons. Hal, how are you?
I'm good, Larry. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And also would like to welcome somebody who's a stranger to me. His name is Juan Diarmas. Juan, how are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Juan is a stranger to no one.
Juan's been around.
In the best of ways. In the best of ways.
Yes.
I wanted to begin today. Did you begin with Tony and Tina's Wedding before Carmelita's? Was there a production before that you did?
Yeah, it was, and that's when it was called Tina and Tony Get Married, I think. It was even before it was Tony and Tina's Wedding. Was it a Legion Hall?
Yeah, that was done at the Legion Hall and then also somewhere down in Soho.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I did.
Yes.
Yes, I did those because we started as far as the dance number. It was Love is a Battlefield. And then it went from Love is a Battlefield to What Have You Done For Me Lately and Nasty. We did a mashup of that.
Oh my God, I love it.
And then Bad. Which may have been my favorite, just to see Michael Jackson coming out of like Nancy and Kelly's mouth. And they were both so good.
They were.
Yeah. I mean,
and then of course Bad got taken away from us, and then we did
Right.
Janet Jackson.
Right. And then Cold Hearted Snake.
Right. And then Cold Hearted Snake, because Paula Abdul was just so fabulous.
Yes, she really liked what we did with it. We did do something with it. So
did I forget? Did she come and see the show? I think she did.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was relieved because it was a burlesque of her choreography. And some artists don't always have a sense of humor, but she did.
Well, it's such an iconic moment, that particular moment in the play, because all hell breaks loose after that moment, of course. But it's just like this cannonball that takes off and propels us into the last part of the play, and really is just so important because I always think it's like that 10 o'clock number, that whatever that 8 or 9
11
o'clock.
11 o'clock.
11,
it's later than you think.
That's too late. I'm never up at 11 anymore. But it really was that, Hal, because it just was so important at that time, and you always did such a great job. What cities did you do, Hal? Philadelphia,
New York, Philly, Baltimore, Chicago, Kansas City, LA.
Yes.
I sent a video of myself with Nancy down to Australia.
Oh, God, that's right.
Yeah.
And I think that you also
choreographed San Juan.
San Juan. Oh, my God. We had so much fun there.
Well, I don't know if you remember, but I came down and the first thing I did was check into the hotel and leave my luggage in the taxi. So I had to go straight to rehearsal in the clothes I was in, wonder if I ever would get my suitcase back, because all I could remember was San Juan taxi. But they were so nice. They were so great there.
Good. Okay, so now we also have the magnificent Mr. Juan Diarmas. Okay, so Juan, can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved with this show?
Well, I got involved with the show when Nancy invited us to come see the show on 14th Street, I believe. Was
Yeah,
that
at
the
the
Legion?
American Legion Hall.
American
Yes.
Legion Hall. And I was mesmerized by the whole experience. And then when we moved the show and you got involved, Larry, we kind of started to restructure the show. And it was incredibly exciting for me because I had the opportunity to put in my vision and my thought into it, even though we had absolutely no money. But it was fascinating. At the time, I was earning a living as a traveling agent. I used to be a travel agent, but I would go to different agencies that needed help. And then in the office while I was working, I had a couple of girls with me, and I was desperate for bridesmaids dresses because I wanted to take them out of the color that they were wearing, which at the time was sort of like a teal blue color. It was just dead, kind of, to me. So, anyways, someone said, "Oh my God, I have a friend of mine that went to a wedding in Texas and they had these hideous red dresses." And then she describes the dress to me. And I'm like, "Oh my God." I said, "Well, how many bridesmaids are there?" And she says, "Oh, there's a lot of them, like 8 or 9 of them." And she says, "I guarantee you, I can't imagine any of them want to keep that dress." So I ended up calling all the bridesmaids in different states, and all of them were willing to give me their dresses.
Wow.
And they
That's
paid
amazing.
to have them sent to me. And that was the original design of the bridesmaids' dresses. So I was thrilled, and it was just the perfect red. They were just perfect. So then I think the guys were wearing also a sort of teal color matching, like the bridesmaid. So I wanted to get them in black because I wanted to create that black, red, white, which to me completed the palette for the Italian vision that I had. So I made lots of phone calls during work and found a tuxedo company in New Jersey that was willing to donate, because again, there was no money, to donate some old rental tuxedos that they had. So he said, "You come here and I'll show you the ones that we're not renting, and you're willing to take those." So I went there, and that's where I was able to create the double-breasted black tuxedos for the ushers. And then I found the Jewel of Tony's polyester tuxedo in white with the black trim. And then I was able to find those vintage Dickies, which,
Dickies.
they were like the Dickies, remember those?
Oh,
And
yeah.
they had the red trim on the outside
Yes,
of the
yes.
ruffles that blended gorgeous. I mean, it was just this exquisite picture. And
So good.
all of that was for free.
Wow.
Wow.
And Joey's red bow tie.
Yes. And so Joey, yes, I got him the red bow tie and red cummerbund to tie in with the whole bridal party. But it was
Wow.
like that. There was no money. And it was like, okay, well, how do we make this happen with zero budget? And it's amazing how you can do that if you're willing
Yeah.
to pick up the phone and ask for favors.
Yes. So I have a question now for Hal. So how were these dresses to dance in?
Well, I could have put one on. It would not have been out of character, but I didn't. But they moved really well. And even Connie, who was made to look as if she was going to break water any second, could move as well as a pregnant woman doing Paula Abdul's choreography for Cold Hearts. They could move.
The beauty was that the line of the dresses was an A line dress. So you had a nice full skirt that they could
Yeah.
really move. And then it was off the shoulder, so their hands were free as well. So
Yeah, they could do, yeah, we never had to adapt any choreography for the costume. So thanks.
yes.
Yes, very good. And then just to finish out a question about the girls. So at that time, did the girls dance in their shoes?
Some.
So,
Yes.
right
Well,
answer.
I can speak only for newer versions. I don't know about the
Yeah.
original, but
Well,
Yes. They
it,
they all did except Connie. Connie
yeah,
would put on some slippers
We
or
were
had
having this
slippers.
debate about when Connie actually puts on the slippers and changes.
Right.
When is she supposed to, costumer?
Well, I think by the time that the dance begins, Connie has, I think, her slippers.
Yeah.
I think you're
That's
right.
much
And
later than I did it.
depending on who was playing Connie, because some of them had some dance training and wanted to do the whole thing.
Right.
Others, she would sit in a chair midway. And then when Aida
Yeah.
came into it, she had a bum knee. So I worked with her and she really wanted to do it all. So we worked separately together as she was great. She
Yeah.
was a real trooper. And
Mhm.
I just
Yes.
made sure that she could do it and stay healthy.
Right. I do remember that. The reason why I'm asking about the shoes is that over the decades of Tony and Tina, there were also many different stockings.
Oh
Okay.
God, yes. The beauty of Tony and Tina's wedding with the whole artistic element of it for me was that because the audience was so close, it was the most delicious experience to be able to go to the minor detail of each person's character. So at the beginning, all the girls had red pantyhose, but they were all different because I was able to literally narrow it down to each particular bridesmaids what kind of red pantyhose they had. And they were very light. But then, of course, as we started to do the show more frequently, it became not only cost prohibitive, but impossible for the customer to be finding the different types of red pantyhose in that specific actress's size, and it just became too much. But in the beginning, yeah, all those little details. The same thing with the jewelry, the fragrances that they wore, because we could literally do everything, even to the nail polish and the fake nails and the little details. I mean, you could just go nuts. But
Yeah.
it created a lot of time and a lot of detail and work, and also the actor taking care of all those pieces um,
Yes.
for the next performance.
Yes. And that original company, I know those dresses only lasted maybe a year.
Yeah,
And then as other people came in, we then had costumes built,
correct.
and they were expensive because they were the only thing that was built.
Correct. And the first ones that we got, I think that there was right in the bottom of the dress, they had like this little lattice of lace that would go around,
Yeah.
which was horrific and wonderful. But the girls would get their heels stuck in the lace and then they would rip. But as the costumes were redone, not only in New York, but in the other companies, the design for the most part stayed the same.
I remember that lace getting caught on every table
Yes.
everywhere. So,
And they also
yeah.
had the lace bodice too, which jewelry would get stuck. But it was such a wonderful thing. Eventually, we changed that to a print that had a sort of lacy look to it so that the dresses would last longer as they were being made.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you when you made that decision to, because we're talking about, like you said, we're so close, we're immersive, we're right up against the audience like that. It
Yes.
can't look like a costume, right? It has to look real. So when were you able to make that crossover from real clothing that will die within a couple of weeks to more costumey
stronger materials and stuff?
It's a very good question, Conchetta, because we did that when the show really took off in New York. I want to say, I don't know, a good year and a half, I think, after the show was running, and we actually had money.
Yeah.
And I took it to a main house in the Garment District where they were actually, at the time, they were doing The Lion King. We had a professional house do it. And I think that we ended up paying an extraordinary amount of money for each dress. I want to say probably around 1,500.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yes, for each dress.
Whoa.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the idea was, okay, we're making this investment and this is going to pay off and blah, blah, blah. No,
Oh,
it
God.
didn't.
So
Everybody else's costumes could kind of be purchased off the rack.
Oh,
But
totally.
these, because they had to match.
right.
The only
Yeah.
issue I had was with the bridesmaids' dresses.
Right. Yeah. And then, of course, later you were able to order those inexpensive dresses that were not so great. But when there were 8 or 9 companies, it was a relief to be able to have those.
Yeah. And then also there were seamstresses that were able to recreate that without the professional house and professional hand that did just as equally, less expensive, and you can make more of them.
You mentioned the hosiery for
Yes.
the women. What did you do when it just became too cost prohibitive to get them each there?
I'd probably have one that had red hoses, and usually the ones that last the most, I don't know if you remember, it was the one that had like lace on it. It was like a
Yeah.
lace pantyhose,
Right,
and they were almost like a leotard, and those lasted forever. But I didn't want all of them to wear because it was too much.
right, right.
So I would have one, and then the rest would just wear regular pantyhose.
And Hal, another question for you. And I can only imagine that this is true, but you choreographed shout
Yes,
in our show.
yes, I did.
Oh.
Yes. We would practice going on our backs and kicking
Oh my
our leg.
God,
I would count it off for them. Yes.
Right.
So it was ordered when they started doing the chest bumps and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was choreographed chaos.
Yeah,
Right.
it still is.
Right, exactly.
But it still is. And you know how without that choreography, that moment would not have ever worked.
Wow, great.
You
point.
know, a lot of this has to do with the fact that Nancy loves to dance. That's why she had the Sparks, winning the Sparks contest. Because, I mean, think about it. In the Vicky shows, in any show that Nancy and I ever did, she always danced. And she was a good, she wasn't super trained, but she would do anything you asked. And she
Yeah,
loved
she was not
dancing.
afraid.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So all of that stuff, I mean, the dance number, whoever's choreography I was burlesquing, that was really set. But the others, like the Champagne March, had to be adapted depending on if the city would let them light fire,
There was real fire?
Yeah, wait. Rewind.
They were sparklers.
Oh, it was sparklers.
Oh, sparklers.
But sometimes,
Oh my
but
God.
I remember one city, the fire marshal wouldn't allow it.
Well, that's
So
smart. That's smart.
they had,
Yeah, that is
Wow.
smart.
Yeah, wow.
No, and I do remember that because I remember choreographing this, but especially with the sparklers, it's like light the sparklers now.
yeah,
Okay.
Oh, God. Oh, that's great.
yeah. And I mean, I forgot that I also did the Toronto company, which I loved. And where they had the reception, there was this incredible bar with these hanging lamps. So when Madeline did her strip, she would hold on to the bar, the
Oh, I
lamps,
love it.
and she was up on the
Yeah.
bar. And again, a lot of that was left up to whoever was playing Madeline, but we had timelines, you saw to that, and certain things had to happen at certain times.
Well, you know, Hal, I don't think that the things that you choreographed, I don't think that that choreography ever went away and really still exists today, because I know that you insisted also that there be a spotter for Madeline.
Mm.
You know, somebody to spot her when she went up
Wow, you've got a
when
good
she went up on the bar.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I always had to make sure that there was somebody that was following that part of, because to me that was part of the choreography too.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
absolutely.
you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, because without that, because we had some klutzy Madelines, let me tell you, they could have fallen off.
And probably some
That
rickety bars.
Yeah.
I remember a few times saying, we can't put her up there. We've
Yeah.
got to find a different spot. That's not
That
safe.
Yeah.
little like strip of table at the Edison, in the basement of the Edison, remember? I mean, it was always like you would like put a glass on it and the thing would go whoop, like it's just a
Yes.
person
Yes.
in heels
Yes.
trying to be sexy. It's like a terrible combination.
Now, of course, I'm beginning to remember here, but I mean, there was choreography even in the announcing of Tony and Tina for that circle in the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Mm,
Choreography, of course, kind of became blocking. But
yeah.
at one point, actors would always say to me, I'd be like, we Tony and Tina have to dance together and look like they mean it. They're like, we don't know what that is. I'm like, where the fuck is Hal? Okay. Well, you could make them look beautiful dancing.
And make it really natural, which was really, I think, the beauty, Hal, of what you did. And
Yes.
really what all of us did was to really make it as
Well, yeah.
real as it could be.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing, because Nancy always, and I agree with her, there has to be some basis in reality. I mean, I don't know if it still happens. You had people saying, would you be my date at a wedding? And they would buy 2 tickets to the show, and they would fool their friend who was their
Yes.
guest. Their friend would think they were coming to a real wedding, and they would see gifts flying over their heads and just insane stuff happening. And it was great, but it had to be believable.
Right. Those are the
And
moments that created the sense of community and camaraderie, because everybody jumped on board with the same vibe. So it felt
right.
very natural.
And you had different ages of characters, so it would have been ridiculous if Uncle Louie did a handspring and jumped into the tarantella.
Right.
It was all character derived and situation derived for everybody.
What was the most recent bridesmaid dance that you
Oh,
choreographed?
probably 40 years ago. I mean, it was Cold Hearted Snake.
It was Cold Hearted Snake.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I did the reinstallment, the 25-year anniversary show of Chicago, let's
Oh,
see, 2017 to 2018, around there. And we did Cold Hearted Snake. That was our dance.
Wow.
Yeah. Everything else was
Yeah.
modern, but Tina loved Paul Abdul. So it definitely still lives. It's amazing.
Yeah, well,
It's so
Paul
cool.
probably remembered that. Well, it was in LA when we opened the second time that Cold Hearted Snake came in.
no, the first time in the
And not Cold
Roosevelt.
Hearted Snake, Bye Bye Bye.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, because the first time I went out there, and it was the Roosevelt Hotel, and we went from a dance floor that was this big to a dance floor that was that big.
Yeah. Yes.
So
Oh,
they
that was
flew
fabulous.
across that space.
They did. I know, that was such a great space. So thinking about, especially with both you and Juan, in terms of, for me as a director, what you added to the layers that you both added were so wonderful in terms of creating the depth of that show. Because it may be a silly dance, but nobody was silly when they were learning it.
Right.
Or when,
It was
or
hard.
when we were talking
Yeah.
about, or what we were talking about, why it meant what it meant. You know, this was all very serious business, because on your end, as you said, the choreography and the chaos is that if that choreography wasn't right, people would get hurt.
Right, right.
Yes, it's just wonderful to go back and to remember how these things developed Because I'm sure that once we opened, we kept making adjustments, even on those kinds of things. And how that was the other thing is that you were dealing with canned music and live music.
Yes.
Right, because anything that was choreographed like a shout, we had to work with the band.
Right.
I mean, later it was all canned, but it's great. And I have all of that music if anybody would like it. Just
I just
taking up space on my computer, but I
That's
will
what we
not
need.
give
We
it
all
up.
need a copy of the international medley, 8 minutes long.
Right. Well, and you remember when we went to Philly, they said to me, you have to put in the mummers dance. And I'm like, what's the mummers dance? Remember?
Yes.
And it was just because it's a Philly tradition.
Oh,
And
it's
they
a
said,
Philly thing.
if you don't put in the mummers dance,
Right.
you will be booed out of town. So,
Wow.
you know how the mummers have those headdresses. So it's just people. I would get up. I still can get up and do it, but it's just going back and forth and moving your hands like the headdress. And I am telling you, the first performance, we got to the international medley, and it started with, I think, the Mexican hat dance and the tarantella. And then we went to the mummers dance. There was panic on the dance floor. I mean, everybody got up. There was not an empty seat for that moment.
It's
Yes.
amazing. So amazing how these details,
Yeah.
they're malleable, but you guys had a way of keeping them just on the edge of being funny without going for the gag.
Yeah.
You know, get to the point of comedy and fun, but keep it in reality. Don't go for the gag. It doesn't work. It doesn't work in Tony and Tina. So
No.
that to me is amazing, that the sustainability of that over the years is incredible, because it was ingrained in each and every one of us, you know, years later. And now 20 years, even since I started, that's still so important, and it stays. It's pretty amazing.
I think that that was, like Hal was saying earlier, it was really in Nancy's vision to have that realness. And then I think also the real buy-in from all the actors as well in creating, because we all created it as a family. I mean,
Right.
everyone, even though you had your ideas, the actors were also inputting into each of their characters as well. So it was that whole collective of wanting to create this amazing world and make it real. But that was a real insistence of Nancy and Larry to have
Yeah, but
that.
it really came from her. She was adamant about
Yes.
that. And really to understand that vision. And then, because wherever I went, I took that
Yeah.
Yes.
vision and really was a stickler for it. It's like the very famous Larry David episode where he's taking a leak in the bathroom. They're doing Tony and
Yeah.
Tina's wedding somewhere where he is, and
Oh,
he's
really?
taking a leak.
Yeah.
He's taking a leak next to Barry, and he can't get Barry to break character. Yeah, he could not get the character of Barry to break. And he would try everything. So
It's one of the most fun things about doing the show is just having that excuse to just never dip into yourself. You're just always somebody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And
That's a
that
good way to put it.
never gets broken. It's pretty
Yeah.
great. Wait, we would be terribly remiss if we didn't ask Juan about Tina's wedding gown. So you mentioned
Yes.
everybody else, but how hard was it to try to find wedding gowns over and over again?
Well, with Tina, Nancy told me she needed to have something that would be cut to be able to show her neck.
Décolletage.
Décolletage, yes.
Yes. And then she needed the freedom to be
Mhm.
able to move.
Right.
So what we got were at the beginning, I believe, if memory serves me right, we got like little puffy kind of sleeves that had elastic,
Mhm.
and then she could bring them down because she wanted to show her shoulders, and her mother wanted to. So it was this whole thing of her putting down and her mother lifting them up.
So clever.
You know, little things like that.
Was it
you
a
know.
real wedding gown or did you have it designed for
No,
the
it was a
show?
real wedding gown. Again, found.
Wow.
You know, it was not created. We found them and then try to replicate that design when we bought more. Sometimes there were a little difference, but they had the basic.
And the length was always a concern.
Joey went through her legs originally
Yes.
Gotta
in
be
Yes.
able
Cold Hearted
to-
Snake.
Right.
Yeah.
exactly
Right.
to
I think the
answer it.
first one that we had, Conchetta, had a train
I think so
that
too.
wasn't detachable.
So what did she do?
Yeah.
I think she rolled it
arm?
up on
She
her
would
arm,
roll it.
maybe.
Yeah,
Oh,
she would take it, and
yes.
I mean, it was so beastly and so wonderful,
So rough.
you know,
Yeah.
because it had a little thing that you could carry it, but
Oh,
you know, that wasn't good
Had a
enough
loop.
for Tina.
no.
You know,
Yeah.
she had to manhandle that entire thing.
That's great.
Yeah, it was wonderful. The dry clean was a challenge, you know.
Oh, yes. Many a
So
time saying, oh, the hem's getting a little dirty. We
Yeah.
got to
yeah,
get this
yeah.
in.
And then we would fix them because it had all the beadings and so
My
forth. So it was a lot of maintenance, but yeah.
They're nothing that you wanted to see in too bright a light after
Yeah.
about 3 months.
True.
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 That's true. No, part of that was like just hugging the audience. I would get stuck
Mhm.
on the audience. They would get stuck on me so
Yes.
often. Like
Yes.
every show, like every
Yes.
show, no matter what character I was playing, something
Yes.
bracelet or an earring. So I can't imagine like over time, 8
Yeah.
shows a week.
Yeah.
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 Nothing's
I,
lasting.
I,
Like, how could it?
Yeah.
I do remember that early on, when Tony put the cake in Tina's face,
Mm.
the frosting would go onto
Oh,
Tina.
gosh.
And I remember Juan saying, no buttercream.
So smart. So smart.
No,
Oh,
because it was buttercream. And
yes, it was.
it got on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Almost
So
always.
after that, I was like, and no buttercream, okay?
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
I know my
man.
frosting.
Yeah.
People really took care of their costume as much as they
Mm.
could because, as you all know, you travel through food, through alcohol, you know, everything.
Perspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And getting stuck, you know, with jewelry and everything with other people. It's inevitable.
I mean, it's kind of a miracle we didn't have more disasters. The amount of red
True.
sauce that was
That's
floating around,
Absolutely.
you know?
Absolutely. I agree. I agree. And the
Yeah.
nice thing is that when
Yeah.
a disaster would happen, I would always be so grateful because the actor would immediately come to me after the show and say, "Oh, I've got red wine on my, you know."
Oh, God.
But then you were able to deal with it really quickly to prevent it from becoming even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I really want to thank both of you for coming on this show. It is a pleasure to reminisce and to remember this minutia because, as you know, as human beings, we're in danger of forgetting it. You know, Juan said to me yesterday, I don't remember anything. And I said, you'll be fine once we start,
Yeah.
because it really comes flowing back. Because
Yeah.
without each other, you know, we help remember these things. Because, you know, Hal, I was forgetting, and really until today, thinking back those initial choreography sessions where you were choreographing all the rest of the parts of the show. Because when I didn't have you, I had to do it, or I had to coax somebody into doing it.
Right. Right.
You know, so, but
Well,
it
thank
really,
you for including me in this. It's been a blast.
well, absolutely. And you're just such an important part of this history. And really, as I said, especially that group number with the girls is just such an important part of the show. And thank you, all of you, for yes.
Right back at you.
So much. And Juan, thank you for your beautiful costumes and also for putting up with your husband.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all.
Whatever you may be.
Well, listen, it was one of the most beautiful working experiences of my life because
Yeah,
we created magic, all of us.
yeah,
And
Lasting
I will
magic.
remember that for the rest of my
yeah,
life.
yeah. Well,
Amazing.
and with that, Juan, thank you. I really appreciate it. And you did such a beautiful job, but you, of course, never costumed me. You tried to get me to wear certain things to the show, but I wouldn't.
I tried.
Oh. Thank you, Hal. Thank you,
Thank you.
Juan.
Thank you both.
In this episode's Pictures for the Album segment, Larry chats with Antoinette Perugine.
Well, hello there, Antoinette. How are you?
Can you tell how beaming with excitement I am?
I can. Okay, so what year was Baltimore TNT?
It was 1990. I just want to say, I remember, this is how I tell people sometimes when you have something happen in your life where you come into a moment where it feels like you know something bigger is happening. There's a part of you that just goes, oh, That's what happened in the weeks leading up to meeting you on that fateful day in the West Village. And it was March 1990 that we got cast. And the reason I remember that is because it changed my life. And I knew it had for so many reasons. So it was March 1990 that you cast me. And then I believe it was May 29th that the show had its opening night in Baltimore.
Wow, yeah, I can find that out for sure, but I'll take your word for it. So you were cast in the role of Tina.
Yeah.
And some guy named Joe Tab was cast as Tony. There was a serenity about both of you, and you were both very young, but there was a serenity, there was a maturity for both of you. The show is like just you put on a glove and you became
Do you
those
know how
roles.
profound this is to have this conversation with you? I don't think you realize to what degree that I think life is beautiful, that I can, 30 years later, however long it's been, that I can share this with you because you and I never spoke about it. But I remember thinking to myself, what an interesting man you were, because you were very in tuned. I was called in the night before by a woman who was a big casting director who I knew. And she said to me, Anne, there's an audition that you're right for like 7 of the parts. You must go down to it. And I remember working really late the night before and hung over because I went out. And I remember laying in bed and I was like, am I really going to this? And I went back and forth and there was something that was pulling me to go. And I, in truth, waited on a 2.5 hour long line or something. And let me just say this, every Guido wannabe in the tri-state area was on that line.
Yes.
And credit to you, Larry Pellegrini, because you did the women first, or at least at my point when I got up to the line, you read me and whatever it was, you liked me enough to say, could you wait for a minute and wait over there? And I was like, yeah, of course I can. And I remember being behind like a banquet and I was hungover. So I was laying down and you started to audition the men. And I remember listening. So I'm laying down and I start to fall asleep because you're reading all of these guys. And I remember there was so many accents. They were like, how you doing, all right? And they were like making the accent so strong and like how they thought it was supposed to be, because a lot of people probably came in from Jersey, or who the fuck knows where they came in from. But I remember hearing these accents over and over, and as I'm falling asleep, I hear Joe. And I remember thinking to myself, he's the real deal.
Yeah.
And no sooner that I thought that, you said to me, Antoinette, can you come over? And I walked up to him. And as you were telling us what you wanted, we hugged. And you said, oh, you guys know each other. And we said, no, we don't. We read and did whatever you thought we should do. And I remember thinking, oh, yeah, this is like real. I remember everything about it. So after you were done with us, I remember thinking, what a wonderful director who's intuitive. No, I mean, really, because you were not like by the book. You were like going with this and the gut. And I remember walking away, saying goodbye to Joe, saying goodbye to you. And I remember thinking to myself, my life just changed.
Mm.
And by the time I got home, there was a call. What ended up happening was just one thing after another, but you called and said, hey, you got the part. And the guy who's going to play Tony is going to call you because you guys need to coordinate the press pictures. He calls and I pick up the phone and I hear like a commotion. And I'm like, where are you? He goes, oh, I'm so sorry. He goes, I'm at my mother's house in Brooklyn. I said, I'm at my mother's house in Brooklyn. I go, where in Brooklyn are you from? He goes, I'm from 74th Street and 16th Avenue. And I remember screaming. And my mother and father were like, what happened? I said, the guy that just got Tony is from 74th and 16th Avenue. He grew up there. And it was like we could walk to each other's houses. I'm just telling you, fate, you lent a hand in putting us together because it was really quite amazing.
I loved that company because that company, well, not only did I meet one of my best friends in life there, who is Louise Kilty,
Oh my gosh.
but during the course of this podcast, I realized I have all of these friends. I have so many friends who I may not have talked to in 30 years. The Philadelphia company of the show, which was the first company I did, was a great company. They were extremely authentic.
Yes. If I may say, it feels like what I love about that you didn't try to recreate the original, because how can you recreate those very unique people, right? I always thought you really took what we brought to it, certainly honored the storyline, but we brought something maybe a little bit different to it. And it felt different, but equally as good.
Equally as good. And you and Joe led that way for this cast that was understated and not horribly loud.
Right. Well, we were more reserved. And also, I would say, in some ways, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I even think I was full Italian, and there were others in our cast that were not Italian American, but more Italian, I think. And so that did add a little bit of a different.
It was very different. And it was a special company that, I don't know, there was an ease with directing that company that I didn't have before. And also, I was now learning how to do this and how to pull whatever out of people. But I loved that company because they gave me so much back in a very different way. And the audience that embraced us there, which in some ways was led by Louise, because she brought a different kind of person to that, who was just more worldly than a lot of the audiences that we had before.
Truly, and I think we were pulling from Washington. It was mostly Washington that we were publicizing to. So it definitely felt like a theater crowd.
Right. Yeah, it was. So you and Joe eventually got married.
Yeah, we got married 10 years after, and even our invitations for our wedding, I actually copied the Tony and Tina thing on it. Because how could you not make reference to it, you know? So the show is 1990. Then we moved out to LA in 92, and we've been out here ever since. And then we got married in 2000. And then we had our first child in 2002.
Let's move forward. Okay.
Okay.
Talk about the flow.
So I started working when I got out to LA. I was here a very short amount of time, and I had like a lot of magical things happen to me. I remember riding my bike home after a shift, going into my house, and the phone rings, and it's Steve Clay. He goes, "You speak Italian, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I speak fluent Italian." He goes, "Well, you know Peter Weir?" I said, "Yeah, I think so." He goes, "Well, you know who Jeff Bridges is." And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, they're doing a movie with Isabella Rossellini." And he said, the director decided that they needed another character right in the mid of shooting, and you speak Italian. I was like, okay. And so he said, "Can you go down there?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll go down there." And I go down there the next day, and I meet with Peter Weir. He's talking to me, and he goes, "What is it like to be an Italian?" And I said, "Well, that's such a great question. Nobody's ever asked me that." I said, "Well, it's a beautiful country that celebrates beauty in every way. I've never known anybody to go to Italy and go, that sucked." So that's such a privilege in and of itself. I said, but what's so beautiful about an Italian family is like, there's just a lot of passion. There's a lot of feeling. There's a lot of expressing. And there's a
Yes.
lot of fighting. He said, well, that's lovely. Thank you so much. I stand up. As I'm walking through the lobby, I felt angels behind me.
Mm.
I literally felt angels behind me. I've never had an experience like that since. And by the time I got home, wardrobe had called and they said, you're going to be in the movie. So I got to the spiritual place in my life when I was working in that little restaurant where I was like, I've always identified as an actress, but I'm okay being just a person. And the moment that I kind of made that switch, this thing landed in my lap. And the next thing
Wow.
you know, I'm working on a movie and I'm in a scene, my first time in front of a motion picture camera with Jeff Bridges, Isabella Rossellini, John Turturro, and Tom Hulse, and me,
Oh my God.
But the point of the story is that all along, I kept feeling like you're trying to find the closest thing that expresses who you truly are. That's
Yeah.
what you're trying to do. And you go, well, okay, acting. But the truth be told, it wasn't like I was like taking a moment to go, wow, you're doing what you wanted to do. So I take a stand-up class and I got up on stage, 300 people at the Improv, and I have my little cards. And for whatever reason, I forgot everything that I was supposed to say. And I made fun of the fact that I forgot what I was saying. And I made the audience laugh so hard. So a lot of things happened, but that was my journey to my flow state because I started doing stand up, started doing really well. I thought I was doing stand up to find my voice. And then what ended up happening is in 2019, I went, Antoinette, you raised kids, you pushed out 2 10-pound babies without even an aspirin. You have run businesses, you've worked with all the greats. Like, you have shit to say. It's time to say it. So I get a show together, and the Canyon Club in Agora Hills says to me, this is yours. I invite Sinbad, George Lopez. I literally put a show together called Antoinette and Friends. April 23rd, they shut it down because of COVID. And I never got to do it. So I turned the cameras around and I interviewed Sinbad and George Lopez and all the great comics. And I realized, oh my God, this is what you got into this business to do. You didn't know it, but this is what you like to do. You want to have conversations that are inspiring, sharing, uncovering. Who are you? Who are we? Who are we when we're really connected? What makes you do what you do? That's my heart. So anyway, this is like such a gift. I love you so much. I'm squeezing you like toothpaste.
Thank you. Thank you.
Love you.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Tony and Tina's Wedding, Creating a Theater Tribe is a production of Virtual Arts. If you like this episode, please make sure to like, subscribe, and give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And join us over on Instagram to see photos and archival materials related to the episodes. Join us next time for our conversation with Tony and Tina's original stage manager, Teresa Hagar.